6 January 2023. Sorry, 6 January 2024. I still have the 2023 in my head. So today I've got an update with quite a number of stories to cover. And this is to do with the disaster that is unfolding in Mutare. We've got a massive disaster at Redwing Mine. And there is more information that has emerged on what is happening there at Redwing Mine. We still have people underground that are not accounted for. And currently, the numbers range between 15 and 23. That is the number of people that are still underground at Scott Sakupwanya's mine at Redwing Mine. So more information has emerged on what is happening there. So let me give you a roundup of what has happened so far. So people were underground, miners, and they carried bags of gold. Then they take those bags of gold up. But there is no formal mining operation taking place at Scott Sakupwanya's mine. So it's more like Makorokoza. That's how they operate. So they went down, and in one of the sections, there were no frames. You know those wooden frames that you use to hold up the earth? They were not there. And the mine then collapsed, resulting in the collapse at the bottom and at the top. The reason why this collapse happened is because while they are digging underground and working, getting gold underground, Scott also has an operation at the surface where they are digging open cast mining. So there's a mixture of open cast mining and underground mining. And the guys who were underground, they then got trapped because whatever they're doing over the ground is resulting in the damage, which damaged the ground underground, resulting in the trapping of the people. The guys had no ropes to get out. There was no one there was set out. So if you go underground, there must be someone who's responsible for rescue, for safety, and so forth. There was none, no such person. So a guy who was sleeping outside the mine shaft was the first to see that the mine had collapsed. Then he went in and he managed to rescue 2 people. Very, very brave guy. He went in and managed to rescue 2 people. But some of the 15 guys were at another section. They are still sitting there, or they were still sitting there because they were afraid to leave the gold ore. So they stayed underground because they were afraid to leave the gold ore. And the other 11 were also trapped. So there's a bunch of people trapped underground. We don't know the exact numbers. And the local community in Mutare, especially the people who are around Redwing Mine, and they're asking ED to shut down that mine, Scott Sakupwanya's mine, because they say it's unsafe and the guys there are operating like a cartel. That is what is in the newspaper today. If you go to the Newsday, and if you want to know details about what happened, what caused the crash, you go to the Manica Post newspaper. They're on the ground there, and they're asking ED to shut down that mine. They're also asking ED to fire everybody in the mining inspectorate division of Zimbabwe, because they've allowed the situation to go on. They've been inspecting that mine, and the mine does not have safety. So they need to fire everyone who is responsible for mining inspections, because the mine does not meet conditions. Then there's also the issue of right now as you speak, there's a massive cover-up. Police, mining, everybody, they're covering up this whole situation, obviously because Scott is politically connected. And I think it's actually useless to ask ED to do anything to Scott. I think it's like asking the devil to fire his demons. Imagine that. It's crazy. Do you think ED is going to do anything to Scott? I don't know why people are even asking ED to do that, because you can see that this is a well-known problem at Redwing Mine. That mine is a disaster. and many people are going to die. We've got this situation now. If they don't improve the situation, we're going to have an even bigger disaster at Redwing. Remember, there was also the issue with poisoning, water poisoning. There was also an issue with cyanide. There's so many issues that were raised about Redwing Mine. And now we've got this tricky situation where more than 25 people are somehow underground, and we don't know who is who, we don't know who's dead. There's no actual rescue taking place. This is a massive disaster, and someone needs to declare this a national disaster. You cannot have this situation and then people just sit there and do nothing. So ED, probably the right person to do something about it, but he won't do it because Scott is like his best buddy. Now let's we'll be following that story. Redwing Mine, more information is emerged. Irresponsible behavior on the side of Scott, and currently no rescue operation taking place, and the community now asking ED to close down that mine and to investigate the people in the mining inspectorate division, because the mine is unsafe. That is what they've said. So let's see what happens, and let's follow that story. Now let's look at other stories quickly. And Afrobarometer survey is out. Again, only 30% of the young people believe that ED can do anything about the economy. The majority of young people, they see ED as someone who does not have any possible thing to contribute to the economy of Zimbabwe. You can go and look at Afrobarometer. The survey was released in December and it's out now, it's available. Then in terms of elections, we have by-elections on the 3rd of February, and 26 magistrates have been appointed to deal with any issue to do with the by-elections. And this is available. If you go to the state press, you'll see it. 23 magistrates appointed to deal with by-election issues. And in terms of where those by-elections are, you will see that there is one in Goromont South, Pelandaba Chibalala, Seke, Chegutu West, Zwimba East, Mkoba North. And these are people who were recalled illegally by Sengizo Chabangu. The last recall that Chabangu can ever do. Then we've got local authority, Buhera, Chegutu, Chinoi, Chiredzi, Chitungwiza, Gweru, Harare, Kwekwe, Manyame, Marondera, Mutare, and Noto. So we have got a bunch of by-elections coming up. That is in all these places that I've mentioned. Then we want to go to the issue of crime. Right, there is massive crime in Cowdray Park where Mtuli movie was running. People are being killed all over the place. Apparently criminals are getting into unused or disused houses and breaking in using those houses. So a young woman has been found dead and no one knows who she is, and she was found this week. So if you know someone or if you're missing someone, go find out from the police there in Cowdray Park. Then in sports news, in fact, before I go to sports, let me go to Chamisa. Chamisa has denied that he's centralizing power. If you go to his Twitter, he was out yesterday explaining what kind of government he wants to set up. And when he was questioned if he's centralizing power, Chamisa said, anyone who thinks he's centralizing power must show themselves. No one has made those claims that he's centralizing power. So there's no centralization of power by Chamisa. That's what he says. And he says he's going to form a transparent government that is not based on lies. So he says the government from Mnangagwa is based on lies and is not going to be involved in that kind of behavior. Then in terms of sport, Kadewere is moving from Lyon to Nantes, and Highlanders, you know, Tagwirei said he was going to sponsor Highlanders and he's going to buy a bus and all that. Highlanders, their water has been cut off at the clubhouse. A consultant came in and paid 50,000 on a Ryan build and transfer agreement with the Highlanders. He spent $50,000, but the clubhouse is now owing $9,000 US to the Blair City Council, and their water has been cut off. So this is the stories that I wanted to cover today. So let's recap. Details have emerged. The reason why there was a mining collapse at Redwing Mine, which is owned by Scott Sakupwanya, is because of poor maintenance of the mine, poor safety management at the mine, and no rescue plan. So they are doing open cast mining. At the same time, they're doing underground mining, which has resulted in the ground collapsing on the guys who were underground. 15 guys were sitting underground, not wanting to leave their 32 bags of gold. 11 guys were also stuck, and 2 seriously injured people were rescued by a guy who was sleeping outside the mine, not by anyone else. And right now, the people who are supposed to do rescue are afraid to go in because there's no supporting beams on the mine. So basically, the guys who are sitting underground, it's not clear if they're alive or not. They have been trapped. So from my estimation of the calculations, we're looking at about 26 people trapped under the underground, the Redwing Mine there. And the official people who are supposed to do this, not doing anything about it. A massive cover-up taking place between the police, mining inspectorate, all the people who are supposed to be dealing with these issues are covering up because Scott is involved here. And the community is asking that this mine should be shut down so that this disaster does not happen again. Then we obviously had the story of ED, 30% approval among young people. Young people do not believe that ED can do anything for them. Crime is rampant in Cowdray Park. Chamisa said it's not centralizing power, and Highlanders clubhouse is closed because they're owing BCC. In fact, the water has been shut down because they're owing BCC an amount of $9,000 US. So let's quickly go to the comments and let's deal with these issues. And I want to deal with, I saw a comment here about Gambako not keeping time. I do not do this broadcast in the morning at a specific time. I first of all get the relevant information, and sometimes the newspapers are not available. I only do this broadcast when I have sufficient information. So it's not, you expect me between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. That is the morning broadcast. It's not a set time. It's not like the 9-10 broadcast in the evenings. That one is with set time. This one does not have. And last night, Prophetess Rue, she was here. So let me remove a log actually, because I'm still on the model letters. So she was here last night, and she did a broadcast on AU. I think you should go and have a look at that. And that is at 9 o'clock on Fridays. She's always here. Let's now look at other comments here. Why is ED closing the mine? Is there no ministry that deals with those issues? No, because ED's ED's body is Scott. There's some people that you don't deal with from a ministry. So Scott, you cannot deal with him from a ministry because he's ED's close body. Do you understand why the community is asking ED? They're not asking because they don't know. And they're also saying ED must remove all those people that are in the mining inspectorate. There's nothing wrong with running a gold mine. So let me explain. Scott must run his gold mine, but he must fix the safety. And when I talk of safety, this is what you do. You have a health and safety department. Every time someone goes into the mine, you have an emergency evacuation discussion. You make sure that there's someone who is able to react if something goes wrong. And then if there is an actual disaster, you have a disaster recovery or disaster management plan. Scott does not have all of this. And the guys didn't even have ropes. So normally use steps to go into the mine because it's not a formal mine. They don't have even ropes to pull themselves up. So that is the equipment that I'm talking about. Scott, how much will it cost you? 1 million to fix the security at your mines so that people don't die. I used to work at a big manufacturing company here in South Africa. So when I went to the United States, to enter the facility, it took me 1 hour. 1 hour. When they teach you about security, your responsibility, your assembly points, and so forth. So Scott needs to do that. That is what he needs to do. He is now a big guy in terms of mining. He needs to make sure that he fixes that mine. And there's a lot. Redwing Mine is a very, very big facility. It's got houses. It's got, you can revive that thing and do well. But this informalization is a problem. Scott cannot continue with informalization. Right. Let's see. The problem is that Mnangagwa is getting tribute from Sakupwanya, every company which is operating successfully pays something to the chief mafia. I don't know about chief mafia. Like I said, it's like asking the devil to chase or to punish his demons. It don't happen. So let's go to the next one. You may rescue us from some misfeeling towards the safety of President Chamisa. Tweets can be operated by just another person. We need visuals of Chamisa. I can't force Chamisa to come out. We'll see him when we see him. If Chamisa is well and he doesn't want to address his people on video, I can't force him. You understand? I think it's clear that there's a crisis that needs to be addressed. And the crisis is, where do we go from here? How do we have the negotiations? I know that there are potential negotiations that are taking place between ED and Chamisa, but this has to be bought into by the people. So eventually, when Chamisa and ED agree, they can't agree in private. You understand? This has to be done in public. So if Chamisa was to engage in negotiations with ED, those ED negotiations must follow certain parameters, which means Chamisa will have to come out and speak about those negotiations, the outcome. And there is no other outcome that is going to be there besides power sharing. And power sharing means Chamisa is officially going to be in the government. Before the end of 2024, if the negotiations that I envisage take place, Chamisa will have to be in government. Chamisa will have to have an official position. Otherwise, everything is going to continue to be on a standstill. That is the effect of the matter. So let's see what happens. I don't understand the strategy because I don't sit there with Chamisa and discuss strategy. But let's see what happens. Where is Chabangu? Okay, Senator Pugeni has shot a video about the Chamisa issue, about the Chabangu issue. Sorry, I'm going to make that video available as soon as it's been uploaded. So within the next few days, there's a technical issue with the video, but we're sorting that out. As soon as that video is sorted, Senator Pugeni is going to address the issue of who is Chabangu, what is going to happen, and so forth. But remember, there is an election that is coming on the 3rd of February. That is 3 weeks from now, or 3 or 4 weeks from now. We're going to have an election. We have a crisis where there's currently 2 CCC candidates in most of these constituencies, and this has to be addressed. So where we are now, the key issues going to 2024 is ED Chamisa negotiations with power sharing in mind, the issue of Chabangu, and the issue of the differences among the CCC leaders, who is BT, who is Ngube, who is Mahere, so forth. Those things need to be dealt with. So I really think we have a lot here. We're at a critical point in our history, and this is something that is going to be dealt with very, very shortly. But the outcome that we must expect is power sharing. Any other outcome will mean nothing. It will mean months and months of all this confusion taking place again. So I think I've said enough for today. I'll be back in the evening, if possible. If I get a guest, there's a number of guests that we need to bring in on weekends. So I'll be back in the evening. And tomorrow I will try to have another guest so that we have discussions here on Gambako Media. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and a good day to you all.